All right, everybody. Welcome to Supporting Farm Viability through Agritourism. I appreciate you all being here. Just a note that for questions, if you would please come to the microphone in the center aisle so that your question will be heard by everybody in the room and on Zoom and will show up in the session recording. My name is Andrew Graham, and I work for the Northeast Organic Farming Association of Vermont and manage the Vermont Farmers Market Association. So if you want to know about farmers markets, I'm the guy to talk to. And we have our wonderful session host, Amy Walker, over there, who works for UVM Extension and has an amazing history in Vermont agriculture, as I learned yesterday. We have 3 presenters during this session, and our first presenter here is Mario Fuentes of My Trip to Ecuador. I hope you all caught his excellent presentation at the plenary session this morning.
Hello everyone. Some of you know me already for the plenary session in the morning, but I'm going to repeat my information again. My name is Mario Fuentes. I am from Ecuador, and I own a tour company that specializes in agritourism around Guayaquil. Just so you know, a fun fact of Guayaquil, it's one of the 33 most diverse cities in the world. That's why I put the picture of a car in my presentation. But I'm going to start with my presentation right now, which is not moving. I'm going to talk today about the positive impact of agritourism in the local farms of Ecuador. First, I want to say when and why agritourism started in Ecuador. I did a little bit of an introduction when we met in the morning. What was happening is that the farms of Ecuador were struggling with the different prices for the cacao. You know, sometimes they make good money, sometimes they make half the money, sometimes they make a third of the money, and it was not a stable income for them. That's why in 2014 is when the first cacao farms decided to open to tourism, and then some other farms followed after that. Today I'm gonna talk. Okay, this is. I think I should go somewhere. Okay, today I'm going to talk about 4 different farms around Guayaquil: Cacao and Mango, Hacienda Nina, Juanda, and Hacienda La Danesa. Okay, so let's start watching a video of cacao. No, that's back. So we have to move forward. No, that's still back. It's still back. No, this is the previous slide. I want the next slide. Yes, that one. Okay, so we're going to start seeing a video of cacao and mango. Look at this, how beautiful this landscape is, okay? So the next slide, please. That's a video. Yeah, the next slide.
My name is Ninfa Lara. We are here on my family farm. The name is Cacao and Mango. I'm making chocolate that is a part of our life. This is an activity that I do for tourism with my family. My husband Alberto is a chocolatier, and we have a business here we offer this experience to the tourists. My brother Jamil, that we work together, he's a chef. So we have a restaurant, and we offer to the people not only chocolate, that is our favorite part, of course, but we also serve all the products that we grow here. My family have been on the farm 80 years. One of the activities is that I'm doing here, and then this is chocolate, artisanal chocolate, in the same way that my grandma did. So we learned from her, and now we offer to people from all over the world. We start the day preparing for them. So, for example, lunch. Or my father, for example, he bring us some products to serve in the restaurant. My mother also is a part very important on this business because we learned the cuisine from her. And all the products are from here, from the farm. We have the idea from farm to table. And in the chocolate, we have the idea from tree to bar, because we are very lucky to be producers, cacao producers, and also we are chocolate makers now.
Okay, beautiful, right? It's a beautiful farm. It's a farm that I go the most to. Their family is just amazing. Zach, who's sitting over there, raise your hand, Zach. Zach has been to the farm like 3 times with his students from the US. So next slide, please. So just to tell you a little bit about the background of this farm was started by this guy in this picture, Stalin, 50 years ago to be a cacao farm. Stalin had 9 kids and their kid had kids. So this is like a big family now. Cacao has been always the main crop for them, but they also grow some other fruits for local consumption. What's the experience that is provided at this farm is that you get there, you're welcomed by the family, you start walking around what you saw in the video, you know, the beautiful plantations. I explain everything about the botanics of the plant, because I'm also the tour guide of this tour. We harvest a cacao pod, we suck a raw cacao seed, then we start making chocolate, and then we go to make chocolate bars, and then a fabulous 3-course meal is served. The positive impact is basically, well, you saw Nympha in this video. You saw how beautiful, how empowered she looks. You met Nympha 6 years ago. Nympha was a totally different woman. Or woman, well, singular, I don't know. So it's like, you can see the difference that agritourism has brought to her. You can see how she's like well dressed and her hair is nice. Everything she had like accomplished or grown through the agritourism. So it's not for her, but it's for the whole family. They all have better education, better healthcare right now. So it's really working good for this farm. Next slide, please. So just to want you specific facts about this farm, for example, this farm is what we pay as travel companies or tour operators to this farm is 25 plus tax a person. So, but if you see, they get in average 50 guests per week, which is 200 guests a month. If you multiply this, it's $5,000 a month, which is a lot of money in Ecuador. In cacao, when they were selling cacao, they were making between 12 and 1,600 in the okay months, and it's between 6 and 8 and 900 in the not so good months. So they are making about 5 times that with agritourism, and they are working less than they were working, harvesting the cacao. And besides the experience, they are selling dark chocolate bars, which you will try today because I brought some. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, shut the door. Cacao honey, which I cannot bring, cacao nibs, cacao powder, and cacao soaps. It's amazing. You wash your hands and your hand smells like chocolate. It's fascinating. Okay, and then just to see some pictures, these are the cacao pods, the seeds, when we grind the cacao paste. This is a drink that I make that is an ancestral drink that the Aztecs used to make. It's called socol altel, and that's why the word is chocolate, is because when the Spaniards came to conquer us, the drink was divine because cacao was from the gods. So they offered them, socol altel meant the drinks of the gods. So they offered them socol altel to the Spaniards, but the Spaniards were like, what are you saying? Chocolate? They were like, socol altel. Chocolate. They were like, socol altel? You know what? Whatever, I'm going to name it chocolate. So they name it chocolate for what they heard. And then we make this drink, which is just water, raw sugar, pure cacao paste, and a herb or a spice. And then we make the chocolate bars in those malls over there. It's a very nice experience. We also have like lunch. Their setting is beautiful. You can see the kids playing with the cacao beans, the kids grinding the cacao, taking selfies. The lunch setting is just very nice. And everything has been growing since the past, years with agritourism. So the next farm that I want to talk about right now, it's La Nina. La Nina is a very special farm for me. This is a family friend, Monica Zurita, who actually I tried to convince her to start in agritourism. She found her passion in agritourism. She has been like a mom's, like a housewife. She stayed at home. Her two kids, as soon as they finished high school, they came to the US to study. And then as soon as her kids left the house, her husband decided to divorce. So all of a sudden, I've been with her whole family for her whole life. Now she's all by herself. And she found a passion recovering her grandma's farm, the farmhouse, called La Nina. That's why it's called Hacienda Nina. So we can go to the following. So this is Monica in the first row, and these are some students, and there's Zach again at the end. This is owned by the Monica's family since the 1900s, and they opened for agritourism just 4 years ago, just before pandemic. They grow all these different kinds of organic fruits, and they grow moringa, which is extremely healthy. So as soon as you get to La Nina, you are received with a moringa drink, that tastes so good and it's refreshing. And then you start walking through this beautiful path that she has built. She's an artist herself too. So the experience provided is like tour to the farmhouse to see all the art. She's an artist herself, but her family was an art collector. So she has art pieces since the colony time. We walk around the farm, we harvest and try all the different fruits and leaves. We feed the ducks, which are, it's a great experience. And then we eat the farm to table with everything that we harvest on the way. We start eating like a farm to table lunch. The positive impact is that she found an activity to keep her busy. Now she's super happy again. And this is very important. She hires the Venezuelan immigrants that gets to Guayaquil with no jobs and no papers. She hires them to be on the farm. So they get to live in the farm. So they get to live in a beautiful area, feed them, and they get paid a very decent salary. So that's very important, because without agritourism, these kids, because this is family with kids, wouldn't be able to have a place to live, or would be wandering the streets as they were before. Okay, so this is a little bit higher end, so it's a little bit more expensive. In the next slide that Andrew will put in some second. So the next slide, it's it tells you anyway that I pay for to Monica $65 plus tax a person, and that includes the whole experience with the walking and the lunch and all of that. She doesn't get too many guests because she's newer and she doesn't have cacao, but still a beautiful experience. This is 10 guests per week, 40 guests a month. Products that they sell is the moringa leaves, salmurios, which is all of the dried leaves and branches. She puts them together and then she burns them. So it kind of it's like to repel all the negative energy in your house. So people buy that for $5 and they just burn it, and everything goes away. And you can also buy fruits. You can pay her to get a basket and just harvest any fruit if you want to eat fruits later or the next day. So that's my second farm. The third farm, the pictures. So you can see how beautiful it is. You can see she's an artist because you can see the setting of the chairs, the signs, the big tree is called the sable. It's just fascinating. This is, for example, one of the Venezuelan workers. This is people feeding the dogs. Pictures with us with the sables, having the moringa drink with the dogs, harvesting fruits. It's quite an experience. It's really, yeah. No, these are all day trips. These are all day trips from Guayaquil. Yes, she doesn't host for overnight yet. Okay, so we can come with the next farm. Cumanda, it's also 1 hour from Guayaquil. This is Roddy's father. Cumanda is basically, we can put the next slide. Cumanda is basically another cacao farm started by this guy who's also Roddy's grandfather 70 years ago. Also, cacao has been the main crop, and started with agritourism in 2016. So 2 years after cacao and mango, they started because they saw the example of cacao and mango. They are from a different town. It's very similar experience, you know, walk around the plantations, harvest cacao, making chocolate from the scratch, but there's a difference here that they have 42 different kinds of tropical fruits. So for cacao experience, I rather choose cacao and mango, but this is, if you want not more interested in cacao, but the fruits in general, this is an excellent place because they have 40 different kind of fruits, and we get to harvest with, I mean, what the fruits are like ripe in that moment, and we get to eat them. Positive impact is that Roddy and his wife are currently making their living just from tourism, no cacao, and they have built a chocolate factory with the agritourism money, and now he's actually supporting his parents as well. They also charge cacao and mango $25 plus tax. This is a price not to the direct customers. This is for the tour companies that takes the customers, because these farms are, by the way, like in the middle of nowhere, so it's hard to go on your own. They get 20 guests per week, around 80 guests a month. And they sell dark chocolate bars, bonbons, cacao nibs, cacao powder. They sell cacao butter and Jamaica flowers. This is all to like customers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really great.
Okay.
Hi there. How long? Sorry, do you want me to ask now or later?
As now?
Yeah.
Okay.
How long are those experiences?
These are most of them half days, like 5 hours total.
Okay, because I think that's really interesting point is that it's valuing the farmers and the time, and I find it really hard to price for tours that people are offering is to get the right price available for the farmer. Farmers don't want to charge because they don't think nobody will pay it, but actually we find you can actually charge a much higher premium. So that for what they're getting is amazing. They should be charging a lot more for that.
Yes, they should be charging a lot more, but remember we're in Ecuador, so that's a lot of money in Ecuador, you know, so that's, they make a good living, like 5,000 a month, like Cacao and Mango is making. It's just 5% of the families make that in Ecuador. Okay, you can see the pineapples, mangoes, papayas, cacaos, Jamaica flower in this slide. And then people having fun with the cacao beans, Roddy selling his bars, people making chocolate, harvesting fruits, me and a group of tourists. So, and then we have the last farm, which is called La Aranesa. This is a high-end farm. We can go next, please. This is a little video of La Aranesa. Okay, so La Aranesa is owned by the Olsen family since the 1800s. It's a guy from Denmark who came to Ecuador late 1800s, fell in love with the area, fell in love with a woman, decided to get married there and stay there forever. They started in agritourism in 2016. They grow cacao, sugarcane, teak wood, and it's also a dairy farm, and they raise horses, as you can see. They have 200 horses. The experience they provide is they walk around the cacao plantation, you make chocolate from scratch, you go river tubing, you go cow milking, biking, 3-course with med lunch. Horseback riding is optional because not included in the price, and they do have experiences to stay overnight. They do have they have restored some stables that they call the rooms restored stables, and there are luxury rooms. Okay. The positive impact is that they have they have a very poor community on the back of the farm, and they have provided jobs to almost every single woman in that community, which is amazing. And these women are very happy right now. We pay $122 a person, including tax, for everything that I mentioned, except the horseback riding. They get in average 50 guests per week. 200 a month, and they sell chocolate bars, dulce de leche, which is fascinating, and jellies. And then you can see pictures of La Aranesa. You see it's a high-end farm, so you get luxury here. Everything's made out of teak wood, the terrace. Look at the rooms, how how just like nice they are. You know, these are the rooms on the outside and the one in the middle of the rooms on the inside. So look at the whole property. It's just like quite experienced. By the way, on the left and the bottom left, all those colorful showers, bottles, it's a shower. So after we go river tubing, that's where we take the showers under those colorful bottles. It's a nice experience. People making chocolate. You see all the ladies that work at the farm in the middle picture, gardeners, us having lunch, river tubing, more people having lunch. So that's my presentation. You saw 4 farms in Ecuador around Guayaquil. This is my contact information. If you want to have more information, just ask me. That's my website. That's like my social media and my email. It's mario@mytriptoecuador.easy. And I have the chocolate bars that I'm going to give because I know my time is over. So you can just stay there. For the ones who came like a little bit later, they will have to share half and half. For the ones that came from the beginning, I think I have for all of you.
Okay. You could go through the crowd, or we could do it at the end of the session. There's one question online.
Sure.
What percentage of the charge goes to the farm, and then what is your overhead essentially?
Yes, so the prices that I set, they are 100%, all of that goes to the farm. That's not the price for the tour, because otherwise I'll be like living on the streets. But so basically what I get is, so many people pay in average 120 for the cacao and mango and comanda. Out of that, like 25% goes to the farm. Then I have to pay for transportation, I have to pay for the tour guide, and then the company keeps around 20%.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, please give a hand to Mario Fuentes. Next, we will hear from Nikki Rose of Crete's Culinary Sanctuaries Educational Network about community-based sustainable tourism in practice, experiential learning programs with a range of specialists. And just a reminder, we are going through these pretty quickly. If you do have a question, feel free to just go up to the microphone and we'll get you to ask it.
Greetings from Crete. It's a pleasure to participate in this important conference. I have a school without walls here called Crete's Culinary Sanctuaries. I built it 25 years ago to support people working hard to protect their cultural and natural heritage and share their knowledge with us. Our teachers are archaeologists, agroecologists, botanists, chefs, organic farmers, eco-lodge owners, musicians, and many others. Together we work on seminars for the general public and then also university study tours. Our students come from many walks of life and many fields, doctors, chefs, nutritionists, sustainable tourism professionals. Many of them have gone on to create inspiring initiatives in their own region of the world, and we stay in touch, which is great. So what do we know about Crete? It's the southernmost island in all of Europe and home to the Minoan civilization, originating approximately 4,000 years ago. The Minoans produced agricultural products and exported them to other civilizations during the time, mostly wine and olive oil. Here's the Minoan Palace of Vesta. The Minoan Palace of Knossos near Reggio also has artifacts of winemaking, wine storage, and other storage for agricultural products that were exported. We also have the Mediterranean diet, studies that originated here in Crete to review the healthy cuisine of the residents. We also have junk food now, which is very unfortunate, but it's impossible to escape globalization at this time. We also have mass tourism. which is fine for some, but it has obliterated a lot of our culture and nature throughout the coastline. So, in reaction to all of this, when I first visited Crete 26 years ago, I had this crazy idea that the food would be amazing everywhere, and beekeepers would be, waiting to talk to me, but that wasn't the case. As a Greek American growing up with precious olive oil and honey from this island, I wanted to see it all. But what I witnessed was a society in transition where people who were practicing traditional trades were encouraged to give those up for the mass tourism model and the model of monoculture and chemical agriculture. Villages that had been inhabited for thousands of years were turned into tourism amusement parks, leaving no trace of local life behind. Traditional restaurants and bakeries were replaced by pizza joints. I knew that not everyone was following this model, so I set out in these mountains to look for them and see how maybe we could work together or they could share some information with the rest of us. So the idea is to rekindle resident and visitor interest in our culture, nature, and food. We can all benefit from these initiatives. I've been writing about these issues long before I came to Greece. This is an article that was published in my alma mater, Culinary History of America. What's the Mediterranean diet and who is on it anyway? I use food as a window to share information about the bigger picture. I've written a book about this, with the good and the bad. Also many articles for the Destination Stewardship Report and Rutledge, many others over the years to try to help inform people about the issues and hopefully find some solutions together. So what do our students learn when they come here? Before they have this lovely dining experience in one of our great restaurants, we take them to places like this. This is an Azorean, an archaeological site in eastern Crete. It's not open to the public. This is by collaboration with the archaeologist here, Don, who's standing in the pantry of this archaeological dig in progress. It's a fascinating experience for the students to learn about the origins of our food and what we're still producing and still consuming today. So what they witness is these artifacts containing food that are being discovered on a daily basis. And they also learn about the known cuisine in real time, as it were, by another archaeologist, Gerald here, who is also a potter and recreates what they discover and recreates recipes with lentils and octopus and all these wonderful ingredients, and we share it with our students. Our students also learn about olive oil production through the years, which is very interesting and very important because it's not always been the way it is now. So these are the ancient presses, and this olive tree is 2,000 years old, Roman era. So here's olive oil production through the ages, and you can see the progression into modern machinery. Our students also learn about the fisheries industry, the small-scale fishers that face a lot of challenges now with many issues, but we also get to enjoy their fresh seafood, which is fascinating and amazing. Our students also get to learn about beekeeping, and which is a very important
part of our culture and cuisine, and also our botany, and what the bees are actually eating, pollinating, and the importance of protecting biodiversity. Continuing on with biodiversity, our students go on botanical treks and learn more about all the plants that surround them here and what's used in medicine, in traditional medicine, what is used in cuisine, and tinctures, and many other things that we use throughout the ages. Here's more botany. This is a thyme field in the top, which unfortunately is disappearing as we speak. And wild asparagus on the left.
Everyone, I'm so sorry. We're just going to stop this momentarily. We're stealing from this thing.
Wild oregano in the middle, poppies, maybe you recognize that, and other wild edible plants that we use. Our students get a lot of exercise as well, because that's part of fresh air, and exercise is part of the experience. We also have impromptu cultural immersion, as they might say, where our students stay in villages and get to learn more about, this is a farmer shepherd coming down from the mountains to sell his cheese in our village, and our students just happened to be there on the day, which was a great experience. Of course, we go to visit organic farms. These are actually seed savers as well, heirloom seed savers, so our students get to learn about not just the beautiful lettuce that Costas is holding, but also the importance of organic heirloom seeds, which is a hot topic these days, and it should have been long ago. They get to enjoy the results during lunch and cooking demos, and more information about the infamous Greek salad, which horiatiki, which comes in many variations, and they learn more about that. Also, our organic heirloom tomatoes and varieties, and ways in which we use something simple like the flour from zucchini. Many different ways to use it in cooking. Our students get, to participate obviously in lots of cooking classes if they want. And this is me cooking bouillon for them one day in the courtyard, which is a lovely experience. Our students get to learn about wine, even if they don't drink, because it's an integral part of our culture and cuisine. And get to meet young winemakers, which is really important for us in our mission to support young organic farmers. They get to learn about our local, regional, and modal music here with Ross Daly and Kelly Thoma, which is an amazing private concert experience. And Raki, which everyone's going to see it when they're here and be offered Raki when they're here. It's our variation of grappa. And in this case, we're at the Raki factory, and also with an impromptu dance lesson. Seed freedom, okay? We're not the only ones talking about seed freedom. There are many people around the world. This is Vandana Shiva here with Panayotis from the north, Politi seed savers, and also many of our colleagues in Crete at a protest in Athens a couple of years ago. I'm in the picture here, so I'm part of this, let's say, march for awareness of seed freedom. So, as I said, we're not the only ones talking about this. IPBES has many important papers there are literally hundreds of papers and thousands of people working on this issue of unsustainable agriculture and what we can do to improve our agricultural systems for various reasons, including the problems that we're facing today. So when we look at, here's stats from 2018, of the organic market, almost 97 billion euros spent on organic food. Who are these buyers and where are they traveling? So are they just eating organic food at their homes, or when they travel, do they look for organic restaurants? We know they do. So we're here to help them find these great experiences and support the providers of our good, safe food for generations to come. Crete's culinary sanctuaries evolved over time with a tremendous amount of effort and search for the most knowledgeable and passionate teachers on this island. Knowing exactly where our food comes poses a bigger picture questions, whether we are shopping down the street or across the world. It is crucial to hear local stories and solutions. By creating a culture of respect for our stewards of the land and providers of our good, safe food, together we can work on solutions. We work to inspire young organic farmers and try to find ways for them to make a good, real living, which is crucial. Future generations depend on the decisions we make today. So just to summarize the benefits of cultural immersion experiences, we've worked very hard to collaborate with many, many people and teach and also create awareness and find solutions. We're working on a documentary, which is a continuation of our work. We've been working on it since 2015 and hope we're going to finish soon. And that depicts some of the other issues as well as what we cover during our seminars. But it's a way for us to share information with the global community on issues that affect all of us, not just here in Crete. So our documentary is called Heritage Protectors, and we hope we'll make an announcement. Hopefully we'll finish by December 2022. I'm not sure. Documentaries take a long time to make and require a lot of funding. So in closing, I'd like to share with you a clip from our documentary. It's only like 2 minutes and 35 seconds. Enjoy, and I'll see you later for questions. Thank you so much for your time.
We're sitting right now in the middle of a cluster of middle Minoan farmhouses. Behind us is an olive tree that's at least 2,000 years old. And so what I found compelling about this landscape, and the reason for us to continue work in this area, is to try to understand why people for thousands of years were drawn to this environment.
Crete has been a main agricultural production area for centuries, for millennia. and it had delivered this thing that we call the Mediterranean or Cretan diet. However, mostly the last 3 or 4 decades, there has been a paradigm shift of the model of food production on the island.
Στα Ασία είναι και η ζωή μου και εκεί παίρνω δύναμη γιατί χαϊδεύω τα χώματα των προγόνων. Έτσι λοιπόν αυτό που έχω δει εγώ από τη μινωική εποχή στην αρχαϊκή εποχή τα Δωριά και προχωρούμε ήταν μία αλυσίδα. Έτσι λοιπόν όπως ο παππούς μου, ο πατέρας μου, οι παππούδες μου, οι άνθρωποι παλιοί σεμπότανε τη γη γιατί τους έτρεφε και την αγαπούσαν, σήμερα υποφέρομαι. Γιατί αν δεν έχεις λεφτά στη τσέπη πεθαίνεις. Ενώ τότε δεν είσαι, αλλά ζούσες. Είχες να φας.
Όταν ταΐζουμε τα παιδιά μας, να τους δίνουμε ένα κομμάτι φαγητό και να τους λέμε καλή όρεξη, να μην τους λέμε καλή τύχη.
Ο σπόρος ήταν η ευκαιρία για να βρεθούμε πολλοί άνθρωποι, για να διαδώσουμε την ιδέα της αυτάρκειας στην τροφή, της αυτονομίας του αγρότη, της ελευθερίας στην επιλογή. Άρχισε να θυμάται ότι υπάρχουν αυτοί οι σπόροι, ότι έχουν αυτά τα ιδιαίτερα χαρακτηριστικά, ότι αντέχονται σε αντιξοότητες, έχουν περάσει πολέμους, έχουν περάσει στερήσεις σε νερό, σε φάρμακα, σε λιπάσματα. Αυτοί είναι οι σπόροι που μπορούν να μας θρέψουν από εδώ και μετά και μπορούν να τα απεξέλθουν σε πολύ δύσκολες συνθήκες που έρχονται, στην κλιματική αλλαγή ας πούμε.
Αυτό θέλουμε να κάνουμε, να δημιουργηθεί ένα μεγάλο αγροοικολογικό πάρκο. Νομίζουμε πώς μπορούμε να το πραγματοποιήσουμε και να έχει αποτελέσματα και να γίνει η Κρήτη ένα μεγάλο περιβόλι χωρίς φάρμακα, χωρίς χημικά, χωρίς άλλες παρεμβάσεις από τον άνθρωπο που δημιουργούνται. Γιατί γίνονται όλα. Θέλει αγάπη και θέλει να είσαι εδώ.
All right, thanks so much. If you would be willing to give a little applause for Nikki Rose, I think she'll hear you. If you have any questions for her, you can submit them to her directly through Whova. Find her speaker profile and send her a message. Our last presenter for this session is Brooke Hansen, who is the Director of Sustainable Tourism at the University of South Florida. And she will be talking to us about sustainable agritourism development in Florida, the challenges and opportunities of promoting regenerative agriculture.
Hi, everyone. Sorry I couldn't be there in person, but I'm thrilled to be a part of the International Workshop on Agritourism and looking forward to sharing some of my research with you. I am Dr. Brooke Hansen. I'm the Director of Sustainable Tourism at the Patel College of Global Sustainability. And I also direct the SDG Action Alliance promoting all things Sustainable Development Goals. Let me just start by giving a short definition of sustainable tourism, which is tourism that supports the triple bottom line of people, planet, and prosperity. That is the paradigm within which I work. And also the Sustainable Development Goals that have a special platform just for tourism that you can find at the website Tourism for SDGs. And I'll be talking more about these in the presentation. The SDGs were developed in 2015, but they go way back in terms of the history of the Millennium Development Goals. The SDGs were a global effort involving many stakeholder meetings, and the beauty of them is that they are meant to be a flexible and interconnected global platform for us to promote and achieve sustainability, hopefully by 2030, but we've had a few setbacks recently, haven't we? I've been engaged with agritourism and agritourism research for over 20 years in my capacity as a social scientist studying all things tourism and agriculture. I've curated tours, I've led tours. I ran a tour of the Big Island of Hawaii for 16 years with my undergraduates at Ithaca College. I've done farm tours, garden tours. and many other kinds of tours. I do participatory action research and applied research in most of my projects as we are trying to enact change in the world. So I work with farmers, help them develop tours, help them figure out how to go through permitting and regulations, and developing content and then marketing their tours as well. As an academic, I have developed a number of courses in tourism, agritourism, spice agritourism, and some other topics. While I lived in Hawaii, I was also one of the founding members of the first Hawaii International Agritourism Symposium at Hilo in 2016, and was part of the team that put forward the first annual Hilo Cacao and Chocolate Festival in 2018. And there's my good friend there, Farmer Tom from the Big Island of Hawaii. When I was in Hawaii, I also collaborated with farmers on developing spice agri-tours and developing value-added products. I was very pleased to be with Ala Keolanui here from OK Farms as we did the first running of her still that contained clove leaves as we were making clove hydrosol and essential oils. And now that's Ala's best-selling hydrosol. So very much supportive of agricultural diversification, agritourism, value-added products. Let's talk about Florida. I moved here at the end of 2017 and have been working in the tourism and agritourism realm ever since. I'm a member of the Florida Farm Bureau, and I joined the District 5 Women's Leadership Group after I came here. Always interested in women farmers and expanding agritourism. And I have been a woman farmer in my life, so I have that experience as well. For this presentation, I initially had planned to survey farmers on their willingness to expand into agritourism, but as I got into the project with my graduate assistant, Jessie Coates, it took a few turns in some other directions as we realized we need to reel back a little bit and think about, if you're a tourist, how do you even find an organic farm or a sustainable farm to visit? And how do you go to some of our assets that we have, like the Florida Agritourism Association, and figure out how to have that kind of experience? So we kind of dialed our research back a little bit away from the farmers themselves, because we do have a lot of research on farmers' interest in agritourism and their impediments into adding it to what they already have. So I'll kind of talk about the analysis we did with TripAdvisor and on the Florida Agritourism Association website as we're trying to figure out what do we have before we start building something more, which I very much hope to do. One of the first things we wanted to do is just get a sense of what are the current issues and concerns and topics in agritourism. So Jessie was really involved in doing a thematic content analysis of the agritourism gatherings, which I bet some of you were at, as was I, to see what are the current issues. And we are spot on in terms of our focus, looking at global communities of practice, regional development in terms of Florida. We need to work much more at inclusivity, gender, race, and culture, and regenerative tourism and regenerative agriculture, hot topics right now, so we're spot on. Let's talk about Florida. Our two top industries are tourism and agriculture. So it seems like we'd have these industries working a little bit more together, but surprisingly, I find that there's much work to be done here. You can see some of our stats. We've had a very quick recovery from the pandemic when it comes to tourism. Even during the pandemic, we had 80 million visitors in 2020. 2021, we broke every record, 120 million visitors. So we have a lot to work with here. We have a lot of assets that we can bring into this, including 47,000 farms. Interestingly, not many of those farms include agritourism in their operations. Nationally, we see it's about 1.5%. We're a little bit above that in Florida, making us about 7th or 8th in the country when it comes to agritourism operations. Yet our Florida Agritourism Association only has 250 members, which is 0.21% of all farms in Florida. I think agritourism is underdeveloped in Florida. What are some of the threats to our Florida tourism? Pandemics, climate change, sea level rise, algae blooms, and red tide blooms, which chase away our tourists because the beaches are littered with dead fish, skyrocketing housing and rental costs, and more. What are the threats to Florida agriculture? Some of the similar threats that actually our UN SDGs are focused on, especially number 13, climate action. We also face issues that we can see around the country as well, such as aging farmers, lack of adequate income, small and mid-sized farms getting pushed out, and those are ideal for sustainable and regenerative agriculture, and other assaults too. So when we take all this together and we reflect on what COVID-19 taught us, it really leads to the development of a sustainable agritourism plan for the state of Florida and elsewhere, I hope as well. We need to diversify our tourism offerings. We need to diversify local food production so we're more resilient. The pandemic taught us that, didn't it, with the global supply chain issues with food. And we need to increase the number, diversity, and resiliency of our farmers through training programs, business incubators. So we need to collaborate on grants and leveraging resources for that. We've got some great things to build on here in the state of Florida. We have the Florida Agritourism Association, a nonprofit volunteer-run organization that has done an amazing job with the little that they have. This is their website. As I said, there are about over 250 members divided into different kinds of agritourism experiences, and I am listed under education. They have a toolkit which will lead potential agritourism operators through everything that they need to reflect on if they're thinking about pursuing this. As you can see there, definitions of what it is, questionnaires to do before you embark on it. They do a great job in the toolkit breaking down the laws in Florida. Our definition of agritourism here is fairly broad and very inclusive, so easy to fit something into this. Our state encourages and emphasizes the benefits of agritourism, and it's written into our law. The liability is very supportive here in terms of farmers not taking on liability. We have a very permissive state compared to others like Hawaii, where it's much more difficult to become an agritourism operator. So we've got some good stuff to work with here. Here's just some highlights of the Florida agritourism law from the toolkit, providing guidelines and definitions. And there's the signage that's required by law. You know, pretty low bar, really. You'll see these at our agritourism operations. And it's available in Spanish too on the FATA website. What are some issues that we need to address if we're going to build out a sustainable or regenerative agritourism development plan for Florida? We know the barriers for entering into agritourism from farmers. We've got lots of research, lots of surveys, which is why I didn't redo that. The barriers are time, money, knowledge, community support, legislation, already favorable in Florida. We can check that box. Collaborative capacity building. So we know we already have these barriers, and I'm trying to pile on another lens here, which is to promote sustainable and regenerative farming, and that has its own set of barriers. So it's a big ask here, but I want to build this paradigm and roll it out in the state of Florida. To do that, we have some questions to ask. We need to know what our assets are. Do we have regenerative and sustainable farms? How can we find them? Where are they listed? Do we want regenerative agriculture? How do tourists find these farms if they want to have a sustainable agritourism experience? Do we want regenerative agriculture? Yes, we do, for all these reasons here. And you can see how well regenerative agriculture articulates with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Regenerative agriculture is climate-friendly farming. We are farming carbon. We are sinking that carbon back into the soil and producing better, more nutritious crops. What about the travelers? We know from the booking.com study that travelers want more sustainable options. Are we giving it to them with our Florida offerings, our regular offerings, or agritourism? Not really. We need to catch up here. So what are the barriers for the agri-tourist or the sustainably minded tourist? How are they going to find these opportunities? How will they locate them? They can randomly Google, as I did, and you can find some interesting things, but it's pretty random and ad hoc. So what we did, Jesse and I, we did a keyword search analysis on TripAdvisor for sustainable farm tours, and look what we found, 34 pages, about 10 results per page. Most have nothing to do with sustainable farm tours unless Kissimmee Ghost Tours is resurrecting some old farmer from the past to give us some wisdom from beyond the grave. Most have nothing to do with it. So this is not a really good way to search. That's not great. A few gems do show up though, like Eco Global Farm Tours. This is the exemplar in my mind for the state of Florida. And when you get a second, please watch this clip on YouTube. You can just Google it, Eco Farm, Legendary Florida Farm has changed the way we grow food. It's about 22 minutes. You're going to love it. We also did a keyword search analysis on TripAdvisor just for farms in Florida, because now we're trying to get at, can people find organic and regenerative farms? About 140 farms show up, and we wanted to know if those farms are cross-listed with the Florida Agritourism Association. So of the top 25 farms listed on TripAdvisor, 5 were. Like, okay, great. So now we're promoting our local organization, but how do we drill down on the sustainable aspect of these farms? If you go to the FATA website, as we did, and you type in these key terms, you don't get a lot of results. So I have talked to FATA about building out a sustainable agritourism page off of their website, or listing organic farms or some other terms that people would recognize. As you can see here, there was only 1 operation listed if you search ecotour and 1 if you search regenerative. We really need to build a sustainable agritourism plan for Florida, and we need to build it upon the shift that we've had coming out of COVID. Increased interest in agritourism. We've seen that our resiliency to disasters is insufficient. We focused a little more on global interconnections and issues such as hunger. Local agriculture can help solve some of these problems. And we've seen shared frameworks and calls to action with the UN SDGs and other frameworks. So we have a lot of work to do. We've got to leverage our assets and tools and use our Tourism for SDGs platform. And we can have conversations with those all around the world because we have a common frame of reference by using the SDGs. And here are some specifically related to tourism. There are a few others as well. We need to connect the dots. Small farms find profit in tourism, and organic agriculture can be more profitable, and add those two together and we get sustainable agritourism with regenerative practices, raising all boats. We need to support our state organization, FATA, and promote the toolkit, increase mentoring, align a little bit more sustainability in their listings, and collaborate on grants. As I said, it's a volunteer-run organization. We did try to go after one of the EDA grants on travel, tourism, and outdoor rec with some of our partners from around the state, but we were shot down by our regional planning council that felt some other economic issues deserved more attention. And we also need to collaborate with regenerative farmers to build capacity in communities of practice. I think we need to build a tour guide bank. I hear from a lot of farmers, they don't have the time or energy to lead tours on their farms, but I end up doing tours on farms all the time. That led to this idea of maybe having a tour guide bank, like a speakers bureau. We need to get a comprehensive guide to diverse farmers and operators. I hope maybe that'll come out of our next agricultural census. And we need to help farmer Brad be an exemplar from Florida. Brad Turner of Turner Citrus Farm is a maverick in the state of Florida trying to change our agricultural practices. And he and I have worked on tours on his farm, and we want to take this model around the state. And here's a letter I wrote for Brad, supporting his award of the Agricultural Environmental Leadership Award for the Florida Department of Agriculture, which he received, which we are thrilled about. And I've been able to teach some classes at Brad's farm. And here I'm giving a tour to the class that I taught with the Clio Institute, which was amazing. And next, Brad and I are going to write a grant from SARE so we can get some money to promote him as a mentor farmer going around the state to promote this model of regenerative agriculture that he has developed. And I'll be working on developing the agritourism component of that as we spread the word about regenerative agriculture and tourism. So Brad and I, we are a collaboration made in heaven. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope to get some feedback and some questions from you.
Thanks so much, Brooke. If we could show her some love. So this is the official end of this session, but please do go into this session on Whova and post your questions. The presenters will see them in there and can provide you with a customized answer. And we have a 15-minute break right now. I just want to mention that I'm very proud of Vermont's agritourism website, diginvt.com, and that is managed by the Vermont Fresh Network, who are tabling here. So if you want to develop your state's agritourism website in any way, they have some great tips.
So I totally forgot to tell you about what I gave you. You know, it's a chocolate bar, but it's a dark chocolate bar is considered to be over 50%, and usually they don't have milk. That's the thing, that this farm, Cacao and Mango, made this dark chocolate bar, but added 10% of milk. So the bar that you all have, it's 70% pure cacao, 20% between like milk and sugar and butter, and then 10% of milk. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know if you like it.